What's up guys, good morning. It is 7 AM on a Monday. I am just skating down to one of my local cafe spots on the coast to start my work day. Have been starting my work day at cafes just recently, sort of as a new thing that I'm trialing out, because usually I would just basically roll out of bed, have a coffee, probably still be in my freaking pajamas and just start my work day on my laptop at that point. So by doing this, I have to have a shower, get dressed, sort of switch on my brain that work day's starting. And the other benefit is that it's just nice to have some social interactions and be around people, even if it's just like a hey, hello, how are you going? Because the alternative is me working at home by myself. It can feel, well, I've noticed it's a little bit isolating at times, and I might have like a 9 to 5 work day at home by myself at my desk with my computer with minimal face-to-face interactions. And I've just noticed just recently, like the last couple of weeks, it's been wearing me down a little bit, so trying to change that up. So this morning, gonna knock out at least 2 to 3 hours of work at the cafe. I'll get my coffee there. I'll most likely get some breakfast for pre-workout meal, because we are training delts today. Got a bunch of cool stuff that I want to discuss in the video, as well as training footage. So appreciate you guys watching along to the video. I hope you enjoy it. I hope you get some value out of it. Please follow along. Right, we got breakfast going down here at Monkey's. Show what I got. Mushrooms with side chicken breast, 2 scrambled eggs, just on some plain toast with no butter. This will be my pre-workout meal. It's around 9 o'clock now, so gonna get this meal down. Probably stay here for about 45 minutes and do a bit more work, and then gonna skate home, start getting ready for the gym. So I'll catch you guys in the next clip. Pre-workout? All right. Speak. Yeah. Right, so first exercise we've got is dumbbell lateral seated. It's going to go quite heavy. So we just done our warm-up sets, then 12.5 kilos for like 12 to 15 reps, done 3 sets, just to lubricate the joints and the muscles and get some blood flow going. We always usually do laterals as like our first exercise before we get into our compounds later on, just again to make sure there's a ton of blood flow. The muscles are really turned on. Yes, potentially you're going to build up some fatigue. You won't be able to go get to a peak max on your compound, but that's okay. We're not powerlifters. We're not trying to break records or anything like that. We're trying to build muscle. So on these seated laterals, 3 sets, going quite heavy, aiming for 10 to 12 reps with like 1 rep in the tank. It's going to be good stuff. So 2 sets in, 1 to go. This will be our top set. So using 25 kilos, trying to get 10 reps on this last this sort of movement extremely strict for me, and I know a lot of other trainers, it can just really mess up the joints a little bit. So a little bit of body momentum is okay at times, as long as it's not compromising your ability to execute the movement properly and activate the muscle that you want to activate, and not putting yourself at any risk of injury. Right, so we've got our heavy exercise of the day now. Machine shoulder press. We're going to be playing with 4 wheels either side, so 160 kilos. The goal will be the 10 to 12 rep range. As I said, this is going to be our heaviest work of the day, so we'll be going pretty damn hard, and we'll be taking these sets to half a rep from failure, and if we can hit 12, we'll be up the weight, so see how we go. On the press. Last 2 sets we've hit 11 for 160 kg. The 11 last set was an absolute grind. That would have been an RPE 0, so gonna try, fuck it, I'm just gonna do 11 again so we can get all the way through. But last set, putting everything on the table for this one. Number 3 now. We've done our heavy stuff, working on 2 rear laterals now. So just a prone incline rear dumbbell fly. We're going to do 3 working sets, aiming for 10 to 12 again. Starting with the 30 kilo dumbbells. If we hit 12, we'll go up. But first set going down, see how we go. Exercise 4 going down now, just a seated dumbbell alternating front raise. A lot of people don't like to get front delts. I do. I think growing the front delt is going to improve the overall look of the deltoid, in my opinion. Yes, they do get hit in your presses and your chest days, but I still think it's worth giving a little bit of extra attention to your front delts as well. So again, the aim is 10 to 12 on this exercise, starting with 22.5 kilos each dumbbell, and if we hit 12, we'll move up like we've been doing. Of the session, we're going to hit some traps, just with a pretty standard barbell shrug. Again, 3 sets, super simple, shooting for 10 to 12 reps each set. We're going to start by playing with 170 kilos, so it's a pretty heavy ass weight, but that's sort of what we find we need to use to be able to still provide a stimulus to the traps. So pretty heavy, but it'll be a good way to finish the session. Alrighty, workout is complete. Shoulder session done. Getting our post meal in now. We pretty much just walked straight from the gym down to Nando's. So for this meal we got 5 grilled tenders with a bit of barbecue basting, and then this will be like a cup and a half of rice. The website says it's 52 grams of carbs, which is basically the same amount of rice that we have anyway. So we're gonna hit this meal now, post-workout, and then take a stroll down to the beach, cop some sun and have a dip, because it's like 35 degrees here in Perth. Super, super nice. See you in the next clip. Okay, beach is a wrap. It is 2 o'clock now. Beach was so damn nice. It was packed because I think most of the uni students have knocked off for the year. But anyway, getting the 3rd meal in for the day. We have pretty basic again. I've got 180 grams of steak here, 250 grams of brown rice, and this stuff is Korean kimchi. I freaking love it. It's also, it's a fermented vegetable, so it's super good for basically helping with digestion and making sure you've got healthy gut function. But honestly, I'm eating it mostly because it tastes freaking nice. And then we're just gonna pop on a little bit of ketchup for extra flavor. So gonna get this meal down. I've got 3 hours of work to knock out before I head to boxing. So gonna lock it down for a minute, but I will come back on the video because I want to chat about one of my new research papers, which just got published and accepted, and I'm pretty stoked to talk about that one. So I'll see you guys in a minute. Ciao. So I wanted to update you guys on a paper I just had published in the Journal of Functional Morphology and Kinesiology. I'll put a pic of that paper on the screen, and I'll also link the full paper in the description box down below if you guys want to click it and have a read. So this research paper was actually a letter that myself, along with a group of incredibly smart individuals, wrote to the editor of the journal in response to a study that was carried out by Campbell and colleagues last year. So this study, which many of you guys will be familiar with, investigated the effects of double-day refeeds during a weight loss phase. So the authors basically concluded 3 things. 1, that refeeds maintain resting metabolic rate, and 2, that they maintain fat-free mass, and thirdly, that they retain dry fat-free mass. So I was reading this study, which I must say was a highly needed study for this little fitness community, and I do thank Bill and his team for carrying it out. But as I was reading through the study, I realized that the numbers or the statistics, they just weren't matching up with what the authors were saying in the conclusions. So I dug a little deeper by actually reanalyzing the data myself, and noticed that the change in both resting metabolic rate and fat-free mass weren't statistically different between the refeed and the non-refeed groups. Now, I thought this was a major issue because now we are seeing coaches and athletes implement double-day refeeds even more during dieting phases, with the expectation that they're going to hold on to more of their metabolic rate and they're going to hold on to more of their lean mass. And this study, along with any of the other research that we have, we just don't have anything to suggest that that is actually the case. So this was the motivation for our letter to the editor, as our team felt that a correction in the literature was extremely important so that coaches, athletes, Gen Pop weren't confused or misinformed of the actual applications of refeeds. Now, I must mention that during my analysis of the data, Dry fat-free mass was still better maintained in the refeed group, but our research team, we also had a couple of issues with this. So the measurement time point where they measured metabolic rate and measured the fat-free mass, that happened 2 days following the final refeed in the refeed group, compared to after 7 straight weeks of a calorie deficit in the non-refeed group. So while better maintenance of dry fat-free mass might give the impression that more muscle was being maintained, which this is what we care about and what we hope for, we think that it was more likely that it was just leftover glycogen from the high carbohydrate refeed that they had just had. The fact that testing happened 2 days after a 7-week dieting study is also a pretty big issue, because more than likely the participants in the refeed group, they wouldn't have gone back into a calorie deficit. They probably wouldn't have gone back to their dieting calories when they had just finished the study. They probably would have eaten quite freely, which could mean that we might actually have a measurement time point happening after closer to a 4-day refeed in the refeed group versus a measurement time point after a 7-week straight deficit in the non-refeed group. So we do think that glycogen restoration is probably a more likely explanation of the maintenance of dry fat-free mass that was observed, as opposed to maintaining more muscle, which is what we would actually care about. We think that the measurement time point in the refeed group should have happened after their 5 days of being in a deficit just before the refeed, as opposed to measuring after the refeed or very close after the refeed, as there would be less likelihood of there being sort of glycogen left over once they'd been in a deficit for 5 days straight. And that was actually, that method was what I used, or our team used, in the diet break study, because that's something that we wanted to sort of factor out. We didn't want to measure these variables immediately after the diet break, because we thought, okay, well, we're probably just going to have glycogen left over from the refeed, and that's going to sort of skew the findings a little bit. So before I close this off, I just do want to remind everyone that research studies, they're extremely difficult to do. It's also very easy to critique after the fact. So I hope no one interprets this as an attack on Bill or his team's work, because it's absolutely not. It was a great study, like I said, highly needed. However, I think it is necessary to bring these issues to light. So one, our fitness industry as a whole can be more informed and educated. 2, it encourages people to apply more critical thinking, even when they're finding things on PubMed or in scientific journals. And 3, it brings accountability to the researchers. And on that note, like, if I welcome anyone to criticize my studies and hold me accountable as they get published over the next few months, because I think it makes I think everyone is better for it. So I would appreciate it, guys, if you're interested. Take time to read the letter. It's not long. It is a little bit sort of nerd heavy, and obviously science speak, but I still do think there's value to be taken from that. And if you do have thoughts about the letter or interpretations, I'd love to hear them in the comments below. Okay, meal 4, 5 o'clock. One of the OGs, but never disappoints. So we have 100 grams of dry measure oats cooked, mixed in with 60 grams of the bulk nutrients protein matrix. I've got some salt and cinnamon mixed in there, and then just a tiny little bit of sugar-free maple on top. So this is the pre-meal before boxing. I've actually got to get my ass moving because boxing starts at 5:30. Ideally, would let this digest for a little bit longer before I head to boxing, but I just had a bunch of shit to do, and Monday's always crazy with client check-ins, and I make it a point to not leave my clients hanging, and when they check in on a Monday, they get a damn reply on a Monday. So Anyway, gonna eat this, fucking stop talking, and I'll catch you guys most likely after boxing for the next meal and then whatever I'm doing tonight. Alrighty, I'm getting my 5th meal in. By the way, if you're getting bored of me showing my meals, let me know in the comments. I consistently get asked to show what I'm eating, so that's what I'm doing, but it does feel a little bit repetitive, so I don't know if it's boring y'all. If it is boring, just let me know and I'll cut back on that. But we'll push through for this video. Meal 5 post-boxing, it is 8:20. Boxing really wasn't that hard, which kind of sucks because I like finishing boxing knowing that I got my ass whooped. Anyway, so this meal is a mixed bag of meats. So I've got 180 grams of a bit of chicken, but a bit of leftover steak as well because I want to use that up. Then 500 grams of air fried potato, bunch of salt, some of the goat ketchup, a diet soda, and some rotten ass looking vegetables that I'm gonna eat as well. So I'm going to eat this meal most likely over an episode of anime. Probably Hunter x Hunter is the one I'm smashing at the moment. Completely hooked on Kahlua. So if there's any HXH fans out there, let me know in the comments and we can do a few hugs and bond over cool ass Hunter scenes. But probably not going to do much tonight apart from catch up on Mandalorian and get my last meal in, and I'll try to get to bed relatively early, but I'll let you know what I'm having for my last meal. Peace. Alrighty, got 6th and final meal going down now at 20 past 10. Just currently watching a little more Hunter x Hunter. We'll probably watch one more episode and then hit the sack. So this meal, super basic, 60 grams of casein mixed into like pudding with a bit of cinnamon, and then I've got 100 grams of blueberries mixed into that. I use the bulk nutrients casein. Use my code DrSave if you are about those discounts. I'm gonna cut the video there for tonight. It's been a big day and got another big one tomorrow, and I should be getting some sleep. So if you enjoyed the video, please let me know with a thumb up or a comment. Please subscribe if you haven't already. It really does help the channel, and it drives me to want to put more effort and time into these videos, try and make them higher quality and educate and allow you guys to learn as much as possible. So thanks again, I'm shutting it down. See you guys in the next vid.